Now we are going to talk about risk assessment. But before we do, I would like to give you some ideas on how risk can affect different stakeholders. That is important because you are going to have questions like that. How the risk blah 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 is going to affect shareholders, directors, customers, and so on. Well, when we are talking about shareholders, the impact of business risk would be the potential loss of value of investment in a company, or fall in share price, or fall in cash dividends. So let's say liquidity problems can make the company not pay dividends in short term, but they will not affect the long-term prospects of the company. As for directors, their risk is loss of income because by default we think that remuneration is somehow linked to the profit. That is kind of like overriding assumption in all ACCA exams. Sometimes the poor reputation in business will affect the future employment possibilities. Managers. So managers, are in charge in charge of the department, right? So they are going to be affected when their department is behind budget in some way. So this means that if that happens, the managers will not get a bonus, and as such, they will get demotivated. Employees, well, similar to managers, they may see fall in output and or remuneration, and they may think that this is not their fault, and as such, they will become demotivated or may even leave. As for customers, the impact is likely to depend on the nature of risk. However, risks such as poor product reputation will have an impact on the customers in that the company's product will not be purchased. And the overall impact is therefore mainly negative on the company in terms of loss of sales. But also, the customer may suffer reputational damages as well if they buy our product. So, for example, if let's say some undue practices were identified in our company and the customer bought supplies from us that they subsequently reworked, then they will have reputational damage because of the purchases from the company with a bad reputation. Suppliers. If business risk results from poor quality of supplies, then the impact of the risk is loss of supply to that particular company. So a loss of supply may also occur when the risk is not the fault of supplier, but for example, because the purchasing company has lost its sales and as such doesn't need that much of a production and as such that many materials. And the government, the main impact is likely to be less revenue raised in terms of the sales tax, in terms of the income tax, and social income contributions, and so on. That is for government. For the banks, it can happen that the company will not be able to pay loans, so the banks will not get their liquidity. Trade unions, a loss of jobs will impact on their membership. So if more people lost jobs, then there will be fewer people in trade unions, and this is going to affect their status and power, and as well as the subscription income. Communities. If the local community are the provider of the majority of the workforce, because we have a plant that employs, let's say, 30% of the population, then they will be affected by any job losses. Now, when we're talking about the assessment of risk, well, we are going to quantify the risk. We will try to quantify the outcome, what is going to happen. We would try to use statistical techniques such as value at risk, which we study at Advanced Financial Management, but frankly speaking, we also studied it at Management Accounting. Regression analysis, simulation. Other techniques for carrying out risk quantification would include sensitivity analysis. We started it in PM, in FM, in IFM. So this means by how much the our overall result is going to change if a certain variable changes. So what would be the impact on our net profit if prices will drop by 10%? Calculating accounting ratios might help as well because they will show the area which is at risk. Let's say if we have very poor interest cover, so operating profit divided by interest charge, then this means that we are at risk of not being able to pay loans. And we also might use expected values. So expected values is the calculation of probability of loss multiplied by the impact or size of potential losses. So when we say with a probability of 10%, we will lose 20 million, and with a probability of 90%, we will lose 40 million, then it's 10% times 20 plus 90% times 40. And once we have assessed the risk, we are going to map the risk. So a risk map or heat map can be drawn as a chart or as a graph, and we will use risk from the risk register. And each series of risk can be plotted on this map in order to decide on the best way to manage them. A typical risk map is a chart with one scale for severity or impact and the other scale frequency or likelihood or probability. And there is a solid line in the diagram, and it's known as risk tolerance boundary and reflects the company's risk appetite. So let us have a look how it would look like. Let me just try it in here. So we would look at the where is my pen? So we would draw a map, and on this map we will have different likelihoods. So this would be probability. So probability will start from 0%. And the probability would end with 100%. Well, there could not be probability above 100%. And then there will be the impact. So there could be, let's say, extreme, and there could be negligible, and something in the middle. And we would map our risks here. So let's say loss of customer. So loss of customer, the probability and the impact would be here. And then we would, let's say, the loss of supplies, the probability can be higher, but the impact will be lower, and so on. Now, when we're talking about the risk map, it would be important because we need to see what to do with the risk, because we actually don't really work with each and every risk identified. After we have identified risk, we just take those that we find important in terms of probability and impact, and we work with them. So let's try to see how it works. In here, we are going to use several approaches. One of them is going to be TARA. TARA means it's an abbreviation of what is that we are trying to do with the risk. So we can decide to transfer the risk. We would transfer the risk when the likelihood is low, but the impact is high. So for example, when we're talking about driving a car, the likelihood of you getting into a car accident is actually quite low. But the impact is quite high because you will have to fix your car, you will have to fix the car that you bumped, and so on. So in this case, we would like to transfer the risk, so we will insure it. We will buy an insurance. We could decide to avoid risk. So this is when the likelihood is high and the impact is high. So for example, if we are going to source goods from source supplies from a company that engaged in child labor, then the impact of this risk is going to be severe because we will lose our customers because our customers are ethical. And the likelihood is quite high because with the modern development of press, these things can become open, they obvious to the public quite soon. So we will avoid the risk. We will not sign a contract with that very plant, with that very manufacturer. We could try to reduce risk. This is when we have high likelihood and low impact. Well, when we're talking about accounting, there is actually high likelihood of making mistake. Well, because when it's a person that just puts the numbers in, there is high likelihood, quite high likelihood of making a human error or of deciding not to put something. But the impact is actually quite low. So what we will try to do, we will try to reduce by, let's say, implementing automatic controls. So automatic controls of postings made. And and we can accept, so if it is a low likelihood and low impact, so for example, that major customer will leave us, or not major because it will be high, but one of this like medium customers will leave it. As the impact is quite low because we have different customers, and the likelihood is also low because they also need our supplies to produce to their customers. So we will just accept the risk. We will not do anything. And that is what we are going to do. So that is how we're going to respond to the risks. And this is just a map. Now, we will try the risk management process helps organizations to prioritize the risks, but it cannot eliminate them entirely because business is risk. So usually growth risks, so risk without any mitigation, and residual risks, so risks that remain once the management actions have been taken to address them, are going to compared to assess how effective such risk response action has been. And another strategy to deal with risk is alarm as low as reasonably possible. So some business face risks that are of high likelihood and high impact. And in this case, if they occur as part of core business, so for example, oil exploration or providing fire and rescue services, they're likely unlikely to avoid such risk because, well, that is what their business is about. And as such, they would have to adopt a pragmatic approach, trading off cost versus benefit. And we call it a lob as low as reasonably practicable. We would also look at the diversification of risk because some of the risks can be positively and negatively correlated. So let's say when this classical example, if there are sunny days, then we have more ice cream. If there are rainy days, we have more people dining in or having a takeout, a delivery. So we will try to diversify our business to both win and benefit from the same risk. And finally, we will have to adopt a review process. So clearly it makes sense for this process to be reviewed to ensure that it is fit for purpose because there's so much that changes. And when we're talking about the risk, we need to understand that the risk nature is actually dynamic. And as such, we need to engage in something that is called dynamic nature of risk assessment. Because risks change over time and the environments that companies operate within, so both internal and external, vary with respect to the degree of change that is faced, then we're going to look at static and dynamic. Static means that actually nothing in the internal environment changes and nothing in the external environment changes, and risk faced by the business never change. Dynamic risk means that internal activities constantly change. So, for example, because there are different products that launch, because there are financial reconstructions, and so on. External environment changes like customer preferences, legal environment, and so on. And such risks facing the company will also change. And yes, that is what we're going to do. We will have to adapt if necessary. So it seems logical that if any improvements are identified during the review process, then the system of risk management will be adapted. And then we will start again and again and again to look at the risks. So the risk management is a dynamic process. And with any risk, we are going to have objective and subjective approach to risk. So subjective means that it is our estimation of its likelihood and impact, and it's very hard to assign the values. And objective means that the assessments made are made within high degree of certainty. And that is it. That is what you need to know about the risks. And I will see you next.